Now our CBC TV WAAZ cameras are here in St. Pete Beach, Pinellas County, the south end of the county. And this is a city that is totally surrounded by water.
Yes.
It is an island city in part of the Isles down here. How did you get involved in city government?
Well, I started on the city board, started on a historic review board, and decided to run for office after that. In 1994, I was first elected, and then I served for 14 years through 2008.
Okay. So during the time that you were the mayor, a citizen petition brought changes to your city charter.
Yes, sir. In 2006, November 2006.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, it was a petition drive similar to what's happening in the state of Florida right now with a petition drive for the constitutional amendment. I think there were some people that were concerned about future development in our community. But the irony is the future development that we were always looking at was no more intense than it currently is, no more dense than it currently is, because we're a barrier island, so we have to be concerned about evacuation. So we're really just looking at smart growth, a way of growing smarter, not bigger.
Now, the piece of land that we're on right now, we're going to change camera shots. Behind us is the intracoastal, and that bridge way back in the distance will take you over to St. Pete Beach, which is St. Petersburg proper.
Yeah, technically South Pasadena and then into St. Petersburg.
Now, I can remember when I lived here in 90 through 96, there was a great restaurant over there.
Yes, called Leverock's. Yep.
And made many a great seafood meal.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
all of this land is vacant with a chain link fence on it. Tell me what happened here.
Yeah, well, this is the east end of our main street, Corey Avenue. As you can see, it's a beautiful spot. It's surrounded by water on three sides. Within walking distance of our main street, there was someone came through and bought up all different pieces of land with high hopes of turning this into a combination hotel, high and dry, marine store, a restaurant, and they were going to give back to the city this whole east end, the waterfront part, to the city, to the citizens as a park. So it was a great plan. It was one that I think our community embraced, but unfortunately because of our version of Amendment 4, it's all in limbo right now.
So how did that impact it? Why would they stop?
Well, what's happened is, even though our community has adopted a new comprehensive plan that would allow this to move forward, because it's being challenged in court by the very people that proposed Amendment 4, it's all in limbo. So no one wants to buy this and take a risk that it could be appealed in court. And likewise, I think all lenders, all lending institutions see St. Pete Beach as not a friendly place to lend to right now. So everybody's running scared, and frankly, they're not investing in St. Pete Beach. But I could tell you from a resident, it hurts, because look at what you're looking at. You're looking at vacant, stagnated property that doesn't have any tax base. So without the proposition of commercial properties doing good, the residents are having to flip the bill now as taxpayers. Likewise, we as residents like good places to go to a park or to go to a restaurant. This could have been a great place for us as residents.
Right now it's on the tax rolls, but not much value to it.
No value at all.
And
sad.
The developer doesn't want to challenge, wait to see what happens.
Right. We're all in limbo right now.
Now, if Amendment 4 is passed by the voters, what impact would you tell somebody if they vote for Amendment 4? What are they doing to themselves?
Well, Amendment 4 is very broad, very overreaching. I think on the simple notion that people will have a right to vote, that sounds good on things. But what they don't realize is that these votes, especially this comprehensive plan rewrite in St. Pete Beach, was a 175-page document. So you'd have to read a 175-page document before you go into the voting booth. I don't think we should expect that of ordinary citizens. I think what would be better is having citizens be a part of the public hearing process, come in and voice their opinions like they did on this project originally, to where we can collaborate and compromise and come up with what's the best plan, as compared to just coming into a voting booth and saying yes or no. And that's the planning process. Really should be a discussion of what's the best project, and if you hear from residents, and residents say, well, why don't you do this or do that, it gives the opportunity for the developer and the city planners to require that before it's built. So there's an organized process that we can all participate in to have our voices heard, as compared to reading a 175-page document and going in and saying yes or no.
What kind of voter turnout has actually happened on these elections you've had on the on these land use changes since 2006?
Well, we consistently have a pretty good voter turnout. We have a lot of registered voters, and then we have a pretty good voter turnout. But we did have a lot of feedback from people that they felt that they were just so confused that they'd rather not vote than to vote yes or no and not understand what that yes or no would mean. So there is a lot of frustration from a voter that prides themselves in voting but doesn't feel comfortable to know which way to vote. So I had a lot of friends of mine that are very smart people that just decided not to vote on certain issues.
Impact has this had on the business around the rest of St. Pete Beach?
It's been terrible. It's been terrible because without this kind of a property supporting other properties, it hurts. For example, there could have been a nice hotel here, and that hotel would have generated tourists coming in with expendable dollars. They would have spent some of their dollars in the retail shops and in the restaurants, and so the retail shops and the restaurants are hurting because of this adverse trickle down.
What is this big document right here?
Well, as you know, we adopted a version of Amendment 4 back in 2006. And as a result of that, we had a comprehensive plan rewrite in 2008. So that resulted in a referendum question on June 3rd of 2008. What I think surprised a lot of voters was that they had to read a 175-page technical document before they went into the voting booth. So it really surprised a lot of voters that by taking these issues back as voters, some of them aren't simple votes. Some are pretty complicated technical pieces of writing.
So I guess where would they find a copy? Was it available on the website?
This is available on the website. I downloaded a copy
so
from the city
They
website.
can sit there and read till they fell asleep. Tell us the story of the Coral Reef, Ward.
Well, the Coral Reef is a hotel here in St. Pete Beach. It was purchased in, I believe, the year 2004 by a local resident who wanted to invest in a new hotel. They were going to tear down this first part, the front part here, keep the back part. They had a flagship hotel lined up, and because of our version of Amendment 4, it sits here now another 6 years later, vacant, stagnant, and really not contributing to either the economy of St. Pete Beach or the tax base of St. Pete Beach, and it's an eyesore for residents.
Now, did he purchase it before your charter change came about in 2006?
Yes, he purchased it in 2004. He was one of the participants in our new comprehensive plan. So he saw that the city was embracing this new plan that was going to allow for some hotels to redevelop. So he went out on a limb, purchased it, and in hopes that we were going to pass a new comprehensive plan, which we did in 2005. Which was unfortunately then repealed in 2006 when we adopted our version of amendment.
Has it even been to the voters to vote on the change of this?
Well, it was to the voters in 2008.
Okay.
And the voters said yes. But the very people that proposed Amendment 4 for us were now the ones that filed an appeal in court to overturn the vote of the people. So the citizens of St. Pete Beach want to see this redeveloped. It's now in the court system, because ironically, the very people that said you ought to have a right to vote are now challenging the voters' vote in court.
Now, is there any connection between the people involved in bringing that suit against the city and stopping what the voters approved, between them and the people who are pushing for the Amendment 4 on the ballot this November?
One of the attorneys, one of the co-authors of Amendment 4, was one of the ones who filed an administrative appeal to overturn the St. Pete Beach vote in 2008. So there is a direct tie between the statewide Amendment 4 constitutional amendment and our charter change in St. Pete Beach.
So then what the voters of Florida will face, even if they approve Amendment 4, and then various cities, voters approve something like a rebuilding of an old worn out hotel, that could still wind up challenged, and the lawyers are going to, the ones making the money is going to be the lawyers, it sounds like.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a coincidence that the two co-authors of Amendment 4 are attorneys. And at least one of those attorneys was involved in an administrative appeal here in St. Pete Beach, appealing the voters' right to vote in St. Pete Beach.
If the voters of Florida vote no on Amendment 4 in November, do you feel like there's any chance of St. Pete Beach going back to your local voters to turn back what was done?
Yes, our city commission is right now in the process of doing that, putting it on the ballot for a complete repeal of St. Pete Beach's version of Amendment 4. There was already a significant repeal of a big portion of it that occurred last year in 2009. After 3 years, our citizens said they've had enough, and they repealed a significant portion of Amendment 4. But our City Commission currently wants to take it one more step and completely repeal Amendment 4 in St. Pete Beach.
Okay, now we've looked at the property over there, which could be a beautiful marina and restaurants and hotel over on the waterfront. And this is on the beach. I mean, the beach is on the other side of this building.
This is right on the beautiful Gulf of Mexico.
Right. You don't have the white sands of Destin, but you've still got plenty of water and sand out here. Are there other properties also that are in limbo because of this?
Oh, there are many properties. We can go up and down. We have about a 1 or 2 mile area of hotels here. About 1 mile of it we have hotels that are on the taller side in a range of 12 to 14 stories. And then just south of here they kind of scale down into the 2 or 3 story hotels. But every one of these wants an opportunity to either renovate or expand or redevelop. And I would say that if we didn't have this problem of Amendment 4, we probably would have a good 2 or 3 or 4 new hotels in St. Pete Beach. It wouldn't be overwhelming, but it would add a nice complement to the hotels that we currently have in St. Pete Beach. And as hotels got better, they would support the restaurants, they would support the retail, and they would make it much nicer for us as residents to make a healthy business climate in St. Pete Beach.
We had a citizen-initiated amendment to adopt the redevelopment plan changes that I had mentioned, and that was approved by, I think it was about 60-40 vote, and then it's been challenged ever since on issues of any kind of procedural issue, from challenging ballot language to legal ads to basically just all kinds of procedural issues of law, as well as issues related to the content of the plan. We've been challenged. The DCA approved that comprehensive plan amendment. It was challenged to the DCA, to the Circuit Court in Tallahassee. The city has prevailed at each of those levels, but every one has cost us considerable amount of money to defend. So ironically, in our particular case, the people who are fighting the comprehensive plan amendment that was approved by the voters are the Amendment 4 supporters, and those that initiated the charter change to require voting on comprehensive plans. It just so happens that this plan, which they didn't support, got approved, and they're not content with that. So we've been fighting that now for going on 3 years, and to the tune of about $750,000.
Wow. So is that in your total legal cost of doing all of this, paying for elections, the charter changes you've made, and any of the challenges, what would you say your total cost to your city budget might have been
since it started? I would say well over $1 million since 2006.
And that's some road paving that didn't get done, some sidewalks that didn't get done.
It's money, sure. Certainly the last few years it has been really tough anyway.
If it were to be approved statewide, that would just be adding another layer, or making more things that you do also have to go to the ballot then.
Absolutely. Amendment 4 would be, I believe, would be far more reaching than what we have done. And again, that is because it would require any change. And we started out with a 5-parcel limitation, and then we further scaled it back, but this would take us all the way to the other extreme. And I'm comfortable that it would be significantly more of an impact than what we've experienced so far.
Except you could share the misery with all the rest of the cities and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm convinced that should it pass, that voters will come to realize that it's not an effective and efficient way to run government.